Hi guys, welcome back. Today we are going to learn to form and solve equations. We've got three success criteria, and the first one is to be able to form expressions. So Jack has P amount of pens. Alice has 5 more pens than Jack, and we want to write an expression for the total number of pens that Jack and Alice have. So Jack has P amount of pens. That means we don't know how many pens Jack has, so we're going to use the letter P to represent how many pens he has. Now Alice has 5 more pens than Jack, so Alice has P amount of pens plus 5. So an expression for the total amount of pens that Jack and Alice have would be to add those together. So P plus 5, which we can simplify to 2P plus 5. Here's another example. James has A amount of money in his bank account. Sarah has £30 more money in her bank account than James, and Ryan has half the amount of money in his bank account as Sarah. Write an expression for the amount of money that each person has. So James has A amount of money. Sarah has £30 more than James, so she has A plus 30. Ryan has half the amount of money as Sarah, so he has A plus 30 divided by 2. Here are some questions for you to have a go at. Pause the video, and when you're ready to mark your work, press play. So we're told a farmer plants K amount of carrots on the farm. She plants the same number of leeks as carrots, so we can say that she plants K amount of leeks. She plants 15 more potatoes than carrots, so she plants K plus 15 potatoes. She plants 3 times as many courgettes as carrots, so she plants 3K amount of courgettes. She plants 8 fewer pumpkins than carrots, so she plants K minus 8 pumpkins. She plants half as many cauliflowers as carrots, so she plants K over 2 amount of cauliflowers. How many vegetables did she plant altogether? So we add them all together, and that's 6.5K plus 7. And now we've completed success criteria 1. It's now going to move on to number 2, and this is to form and solve equations from words. So I think of a number, I add 3, then divide it by 2, and my answer is 12. So form an equation and solve it to find my number. So if we think of a number, and let that number be x, we add 3 to it, and then divide it by 2. And my answer is 12. So that must equal 12. So now we've formed an equation. So now we just need to solve it. So we use a function machine and say what we're doing to x. So we've got x, we're adding 3, then dividing it by 2, and we get the answer 12. So to find out what x is, we work backwards doing the opposite. This is known as the inverse. So we start with 12, The opposite of dividing by 2 is timesing by 2, and the opposite of adding 3 is taking away 3. So 12 times 2 is 24, and 24 take away 3 is 21. So the number that they originally thought of was 21. Here's another example. Jack goes to the shop, he buys 3 pens, he then buys a ruler for 50p, and he pays £1.46 in total. So how much is a pen? So Jack buys 3 pens, so we can call that 3p. He then buys a ruler for 50p, so we can add 50. And the total amount he spends is £1.46. So we're going to leave that in pence, so that's 146 pence. So we've formed an equation, 3p plus 50 equals 146. Now we need to do a function machine to be able to solve it. So we say what we're doing to p. We're timesing it by 3, we're adding 50, and we get 146. So we've got to work backwards doing the opposite. So we start with 146, we take away 50, and then we divide by 3. 146 take away 50 is 96, and 96 divided by 3 is 32. So each pen costs 32p. Here's another example. There are the same amount of chocolates in a box. April buys 5 boxes, and her and her friends eat 70 chocolates. Carl buys 3 boxes, and he and his friends eat 20 chocolates. April and Carl have the same amount of chocolates. So how many chocolates are in a box? So we form an equation and call the amount of chocolates in a box x. So April buys 5 boxes and eats 70, and Carl buys 3 boxes and eats 20. And now they both have the same amount of chocolates. So 5x minus 70 must equal 3x minus 20. So to solve this one, we look at our x's and we take away the smallest x. So we take away 3x from both sides, because 3x is smaller than 5x. So we take 3x off both sides. That leaves us with 2x minus 70 on this side and minus 20 on this side. Then we use a function machine to solve our equation. So we say what we're doing to x. We're timesing it by 2, then taking away 70, and we get minus 20. So we need to work backwards doing the opposite. So we start with minus 20, we add 70, and then we divide by 2. Minus 20 plus 70 is 50, and 50 divided by 2 is 25. So there are 25 chocolates in each box. Here are some questions for you to have a go at. Pause the video, and when you're ready to mark your work, press play. Here are your answers. So there's your green answers. And there's your amber answers. now we've completed success criteria 2. So now we're going to move on to number 3, and this is to form and solve equations from shapes. So in this question, we want to find the value of x. And we're told that the three angles in the triangle are x plus 20, 2x, and x. Now, angles in a triangle always add up to 180 degrees. So if we add together all the angles, x plus 20 plus 2x plus x, that equals 4x plus 20. And because the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees, that must equal 180. So now we need to solve the equation by saying what we're doing to x, times it by 4, we're adding 20, and we get 180. So we need to work backwards, doing the opposite. We start with 180, we take away 20, and then we divide by 4. So 180 take away 20 is 160, and 160 divided by 4 is 40. So x equals 40. Here's another example. Shown are the lengths of a square, and we want to find the value of x. Now the special thing about a square is that all its sides are of equal length. So we know that both these sides are going to be equal. So 2x plus 10 must equal 5x minus 8. We start by looking at the smallest x, so that's 2x. So we take 2x off both sides. That leaves us with 10 on this side and 3x minus 8 on this side. So now we've got an equation that we need to solve. So we write a function machine of what we're doing to x. So we're timesing it by 3, we're taking away 8, and we get 10. So we need to work backwards, doing the opposite. So we start with 10, we add 8, and then we divide by 3. 10 plus 8 is 18, and 18 divided by 3 is 6. So x equals 6. Here are some questions for you to have a go at. Pause the video, and when you're ready to mark your work, press play. Here are your answers. So there's your green answers, and there's your amber answers. And now we've completed success criteria 3. So now that we've completed the last objective, it's time to end the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found it useful. Make sure to like and subscribe, and be sure to check out the videos on the rest of the channel. I'll see you next time. See ya.